Hello everyone. This is the class about the last question on the short story itself before moving to the parallel between the short story and the painting. The next question was about the symbols which were associated to each character. So mainly, the main character is this old man who finally has no real cues and not lots of cues. And this old man is associated to deafness, which symbolizes his isolation, is exclusion, so exclusion from the others, exclusion from the communication, and finally maybe exclusion from life. Is also associated to the leaves of the tree. You've got it first line and then it's repeated. An old man who sat in the shadow, the leaves of the tree made against the electric light. So the leaves of the trees, and I think I have said it before, represent so this tree represents the tree of life, and the leaves represent the circle of life with the 4 seasons, and this circle of life is also a circle of life and death. As for the other characters, so it's less explicit and it's less meaningful, less meaningful. But as we saw with the process of progressive characterization, the younger waiter is associated to his wife, so to a family life. Is also associated to a sense of time which is passing fast, and the fact that he is mentioned as the hurried, or the waiter who is in a hurry, means that he seems to run after time and tries to grasp life as fast as possible before it evades and is disappearing. And finally, the older waiter. So he's not really associated to someone or to something material, but if we have one thing to remember about him, it's his empathy and his compassion and his understanding for the old man, which shows that he has understood life, whereas the old waiter has not understood that he can't escape time. So this is it for the symbols associated to the different characters. Now we need to talk about the contrasts which are present in this short story and how the author plays with it. So since the beginning, since the first paragraph, there is an opposition between light and shadow, and we're going to see with Hopper that this is a main element of his paintings, and that's why you can find this recurring opposition and contrast in the short story by Hemingway. So this is a clear parallel between the two types of art. So light and shadows. Then there is also, and since the first paragraph, you've got all these contrasts, an opposition between natural light and electric light. So the electric light of the cafe and the natural light of the outside, even if it's the night. And so it draws us to another comparison, another opposition, which is the inside and the outside. And also this idea of nature and human, and all these contrasts lead us to think about the main opposition, which is guiding all our reflection in this short story, and which is at the core of this short story, the essence of the theme. It's this opposition between mortality, so mortality of the human, and the eternity of nature. So this is it for the contrast. Then, if we deal with the general themes present and developed through this short story. So the first and obvious one, first one is this lack of communication between the different characters, which leads them to be isolated from the other human beings, from themselves, and from, in a way, from life. So we have a real sense of loneliness in this short story, even if, for example, the younger waiter denies it, and you can see it line 85. He's lonely, I'm not lonely, I have a wife waiting in bed for me. So it shows again that the younger waiter has not clearly understood what life is and what loneliness really means. And this guide us to another theme, and all these themes are linked and intertwined. And this is what we talked about when we refer to the leaves of the tree and inside outside. It's this process of aging, and we have seen it through the process of characterization of the different character. There are three characters who all represent a stage of life. So the younger waiter with a wife who is in a hurry. Then you've got the middle-aged waiter who seems to understand the old man, and the old man who is at the end of his life and closer to death. So it's this circle of life and death which is at the core of the short story, and it's not the characters are not only struggling against despair or loneliness. They are struggling, and they are struggling with time. And this short story is really anchored in this conflict between man and time. And finally, this loneliness is almost felt like emptiness by the characters and by the reader. You can see, so we're going to take the short story. So it's the second page. No, this is not this one. Here. So the second page, this paragraph. So this paragraph, this is the old waiter who is the older waiter who is speaking in a form of monologue. The younger waiter and the old man have left the cafe, and he's remaining alone. So we don't really know if it's a monologue which is said out loud, or if it's a form of stream of consciousness, and what so this paragraph may refer to what he's thinking in his head. So in this paragraph, he clearly states that for him, he has understood life, and he has understood the real place of man. That is, and he has understood that man is totally insignificant on earth in this life. He says it was a nothing, and man was a nothing too. And you can see after, so it's a paragraph that lots of people have commented on. So he says, so he replaced the word nothing by the Spanish word nada, and you've got lots, and so this word is repeated a lot in this paragraph, and nothing is repeated a lot, and this part of the paragraph is a parody of a prayer. When you can see our nada, who art in nada, nada be thy name, thy kingdom, nada, that will be nada in nada as it is in nada. So, sorry. Sorry. This is a parody of the prayer which starts with "Our Father who art in heaven." So by parodying this prayer and replacing the word Father or heaven by nothing, he instantly wipes out the notion of God and the notion of heaven, and clearly says that for him, religion is not a means to find meaning in his life, and it's not. By saying this, he also denies the fact that there is a meaning to life. So we can draw a parallel with the influences of Hemingway. We said that he was influenced by existentialism and by a specific not a branch of existentialism, but a particular brand of philosophy, which is existential nihilism. So here, it reflects what Hemingway, so the old waiter expresses what Hemingway thought about life, and about the fact that life was meaningless, was futile, and it was totally useless to try to impose meaning and order on our existence, because at the end, death will overtake us all. And this philosophy that is reflected in this short story, and especially in this monologue and the point of view of the older waiter, is a reaction to the feeling that he felt after World War I, and a sense of disillusion, and dislocation, because it was a traumatic experience where he lost all his landmarks and belief and faith. So this is where you can find the parallel between existentialism and the short story. So this is it for today. We have answered the question about the symbols, about the contrast, the general themes, and we have drawn a parallel with what we saw in the biography of Hemingway. So I hope it's clear. Next time, it's the class on Friday, virtual class about the painting by Hopper and the parallel between the painting and the short story. So this is it. See you. Bye-bye.